Hello everyone, welcome to the Anime Expo 2015 Roundup, or reactions to predictions I made, or whatever. It's basically a reaction to all the announcements and stuff. All the major industry panels are done, over and finished, so there might be a couple of other announcements over the next day. Like Saturday, there's still quite a few panels going on, but none of them are directly industry related necessarily, and I don't think there's anything major on Sunday, but there might be a couple other things, but for the most part everything is done. Like I say, all the major companies like Viz, Sentai, Funimation, they've all done their panels. So so far as the announcements, just in general, before I go into detail about all of them, it's one of those, it was a year where some absolutely amazing announcements were done from some companies. Like, some companies just blew the doors off as far as I'm concerned, and then other companies just didn't turn up, you know. But yeah, so it's a bit up and down, but there's some really cool stuff, so let's get into it, shall we? Yeah, so first up was Viz Media. They were the first ones to have a panel. One of the most interesting announcements they did was Death Note is coming to Blu-ray. This is interesting for a few reasons. The major one is that this anime series does not have a Blu-ray release in Japan, neither does it have one on the horizon coming out in Japan. So, being that this is a standard definition show, it will only be an upscale when it does come to Blu-ray. Viz, of course, are the company that are currently releasing Sailor Moon upscaled on Blu-ray, and as I'm sure all of you who are subscribed to me are fully aware by now, they're doing, in my opinion, an absolutely dreadful job with it. So yeah, I really don't know what to expect from Death Note coming to Blu-ray. One, it doesn't necessarily... it might not necessarily benefit from Blu-ray. When you're upscaling a standard definition show, there are certain benefits that can be made from it if you do it correctly. Main one is bitrate. But, so, without a doubt, 100%, when done properly, a standard definition show upscaled to Blu-ray can look slightly better than what it would do on DVD. Definitely. As proven with shows like Eureka 7, where the Blu-ray, in my opinion, looks really good, and every now and then you would be forgiven for mistaking it actually being a true HD show. You know, every now and then, not all the time, because it's clearly an upscale, but still. So, yeah, but just knowing that Viz are doing this in-house, so far as we're aware, leaves me very much like no real fanfare or expectations for this at all. I don't imagine it'll be looking that good. They did show a side-by-side comparison trailer at the convention, but they haven't uploaded that to YouTube, so I have no idea what it actually looks like when you see it in the proper resolution or whatever. I'm hoping that video will come out sooner rather than later, and we can take a proper look at their upscaling job for it. But yeah. Next was they confirmed basically they'll have the second season of K. They obviously already have the first season and the movie. The second season is scheduled to start in the fall, and yeah, they just basically come out and said, yeah, we've got it. Everyone knew they had it. I thought they had already said they did. I don't know, but yeah, they've got the second season of K. I wasn't too overly enamoured with the first season. I thought it was an okay show, but it didn't blow me away. But for those that are fans of the show, of which I believe there are quite a few, then you can rejoice in knowing that Viz are going to give it all, going to bring it all out for you. So that's cool. Okay, next was something very interesting, and it was actually at the time when this was announced, that it actually was a precursor to something else, which I'm sure I already put up a video about the other thing, but we'll talk about it later. But Viz are putting out the Legend of the Galactic Heroes novels in English. These have been fan translated. Like, I think an ongoing project for a number of years, but yeah, Legend of Galactic Heroes is one of the most beloved franchises of its age back in the 80s, and yeah, the novels are coming out in English. So is the anime later by Sentai. We'll talk about it in a minute. But anyway, So yes, One Punch Man is the other Viz announcement, new pickup. Interestingly, again, this is a show that's coming out in the fall. I haven't really checked too much of the fall anime season, but I think this might be one of the biggest shows that is starting in the fall. So it's a pretty decent pickup from Viz Media. And given it's a Shonen Jump series, it's not overly surprising that Viz were able to get their hands on it. But yeah, One Punch Man definitely going to come out. It means it will get, an English dub. It means it will definitely come out on Blu-ray more than likely. Like Viz pretty much have Blu-ray locked down for all their newer releases these days. So yeah, it's great news that this is going to come out. I don't really know too much about it. I'm not much of a manga reader, as I'm sure most of you probably figured out. So yeah, I don't know anything about the series itself other than bombastic shonen action, I suppose. But yeah, cool to know that that's coming out. So for me, the most interesting announcement from Viz is the Death Note Blu-ray. I don't know if I really have much interest in owning this show in upscale Blu-ray, but depends what sort of packaging they give it, I guess, because I did like the show. I just wish it finished slightly differently to what it did. But yeah, I still think it's a fantastic series. Okay, so next up was Sentai Filmworks, and oh boy. This was a interesting panel, one that started off kind of slow and then freaking roof exploded excitement, as far as I'm concerned, completely melted my mind. So, Sentai are the company that picked up Ushiro Totora, obviously a 39 episode series, first season 26 and a second 13 episode season to come a little bit later, but this was bound to get licensed. I'm not surprised it ended up with Sentai. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up dubbing this series. I think it's going to be a popular series. Obviously the quality might not turn out that great in the end, but so far as right now, I think it's got the opportunity to be a pretty decent series, and I'll be interested to know if Sentai decide to rescue the old OVA series that is only 10 episodes long. It'd be interesting if they put that out. I wouldn't be surprised if Discotek also might try and get their hands on it as a way to get in on the potential sales numbers of Ushiro Totora's remake. The next one was the A1 Pictures series Gate, which I have a decent amount of interest in. I think it sounds like a cool series. This is another summer series. Sentai got the Moe Zombie series. The English name for it is School Life! ! But yeah, this is the zombie apocalypse Moe type series that I figured that Sentai would get. The next one is, I think the English name is Blue Spring Cross Machine Gun. It's another shonen series, gender bender series. This boy is actually a girl. And just an action series so far as I'm aware. I don't know too much about it, but yeah, Blue Spring Cross Machine Gun. And the other one is Wakaba Girls. And then the only announcement they did for stuff that is a sequel to something they've already released was To Love Ru, the second season of To Love Ru Darkness or something. I find that weird that they didn't announce Gatchaman Crowds' sequel, Non Non Biori's sequel, as well as the Fate Stay Night weird Prisman. I can't even remember how to say that, but that other Fate Stay Night cute moe thing they did. They put out. They didn't announce a sequel to that either, which I thought was strange. But then Sentai came out and they hinted before, obviously, that they had some pretty big hitters, and they weren't kidding. First up, they have rescued Higurashi When They Cry, something that I believe I might have mentioned on my NIS predictions, since NIS put out Umaneko When They Cry. But yeah, this is finally coming out. Sentai have rescued the first season, and they're bringing out the second season and the third season OVA. Obviously, the first season was dubbed and put out by Genium back in the day. No news right now if Sentai are going to be obviously dubbing the second season and even possibly reuniting the cast, as well as the third season OVA. Obviously, there is a precedence, or whatever the right word is, I can't remember how to say that one, but obviously with Familiar of Zero, which was previously put out by Genion, they dubbed the first season. Sentai themselves put out Familiar of Zero dubbed for the first season on Blu-ray, but then the subsequent second, third and fourth seasons they just put out subtitle only, so they didn't retroactively go back and dub those. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't dub the second season of Higurashi, but there's also a part of me that expects them. I think they will. I think they will dub the second season of Higurashi When They Cry, and obviously the third season OVA. I don't know if they'll reunite the old cast or anything. They may even redub the first series. I don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they dub it. Well, I expect them to dub it, but actually, yeah, I expect them to dub it. But again, they might not. They might not, but I think they will. The next one that just melted my mind. I could not believe it. I was in call with Rock Godatachi when we were watching these panels on Skype, and I basically just freaked out when this announcement came. And like for the next hour, I just kept on saying, "Oh my God, Legend of Galactic Heroes! Oh my God, they've licensed Legend of Galactic Heroes, guys!" Like Sentai came out, they said this is one that everyone's been asking for a long time, and you do not expect fucking Sentai to come out and license something from fucking the 80s and 90s, especially a show that is basically the white whale of anime licenses for anyone who's been following it for a long time. People who've been following it for a lot longer than me. Like I've not been an anime fan for over a decade even yet, I don't think. Well, about coming up on a decade pretty much. But yeah, there have been people who've been wanting this for a very, very, very long time. I've been interested in it. It's a show that I think I will love. I've watched the first 5 episodes of it, loved it. I just love the style, I love the atmosphere of it, the political drama. I just love the maturity of it. This is not a show that is like... Yeah, this isn't... No offense to these type of shows because I watch them all the time, but this isn't like a show aimed necessarily at young teens, like a Shonen Jump series or anything like that. Not a high school age type series. This is like a proper epic space opera drama series, the sort of thing you could do live action if it wasn't, you know, set in space or whatever. Like this is like about real mature adult people, and yeah, it's just I cannot believe this is coming out. 10 years ago, the company, I can't remember who they were. Yeah, I actually can't remember who they are. The name began with W, but there was a company that tried to get Legend of Galactic Heroes out in English, and they were trying to do it. They were like getting people to sign a petition to agree to purchase it, but they were going to put it out for like $1,000. Now, about a year ago, I think it was now, there was a leak rumor of some kind that came out in Japan that said that Legend of Galactic Heroes was going to get a remake, but we haven't heard anything about it since. Now, I'm curious to know if I had begun to figure that project had probably been cancelled. But now I'm beginning to wonder if it really hasn't been cancelled, because it just seems strange to me that all of a sudden this show that was supposedly impossible to get hold of, everyone in America wouldn't touch it because of price, I assume, and you know, just the sheer amount of money Japan were asking for it and the complete zero chance to turn profit for the American companies at that value. If the price must have dropped. I just find it weird that Viz Media would suddenly come out with Legend of Galactic Heroes, the novels, and then immediately, almost an hour later, Sentai Filmworks say they've got the series. It just seems slightly strange to me, but either way, who cares? You know, it means we've got the show, and it's so great that Sentai have picked it up. I know some people were already asking Sentai, hey, are you going to dub it? Look, I'm going to say this right now. This is a 110 episode series that came out in the 1980s to the early 90s. There is absolutely... I'm going to put the percentage chance of Sentai dubbing this series at about 5%. Like, I just don't see it. Like, yes, it's a really, really great announcement, but I just not enough people will be interested in it to warrant a dub, especially at 110 episodes. It's not happening. The other question that was being asked was for Blu-ray. Blu-ray is sort of possible. The Blu-ray releases in Japan are super expensive, and I don't know if Japan would like the idea of Sentai coming out potentially with Blu-rays that are a lot cheaper, especially since Sentai's releases get out into all the main avenues, and you know, they appear on Amazon, and that's Sentai, certainly, and Funimation, etc. The companies that, you know, they're the sort of stuff, their stuff gets out, and that is what Japan worry about in terms of reverse importation now. So yeah, I don't know if the show will get Blu-ray, but at the same time, it really doesn't. It wouldn't be the end of the world if it didn't. It really wouldn't be the end of the world if this was subtitled and DVD only, because the Blu-rays in Japan are upscales. They're okay upscales, but they're still upscales. So a DVD sub-only release of this across maybe, let's say, 8 sets, like 13 episodes each, pretty much. About, well, I can't remember what the right maths would be, but I suppose they could do. Potentially, they could do what would it be, 11 sets at 11 episodes per volume. Like, that's possible as well. But either way, I think a DVD sub-only route is where it's going to go. But I'm still amazed that this has actually happened. Like, I'm amazed it's Sentai that have done it. I would have thought if anyone was going to do it, it would have been Discotek, because it's obviously their style of show, classic series. But yeah, I'm amazed, absolutely amazed that it was Sentai. I'm so glad it was Sentai, and yeah, like, I don't think they'll dub it, but holy crap, if they did, that would be amazing, but I can't see them dubbing it. But yeah, that was awesome. Sentai pretty much won the show, if there's anything to win. If you're going to have someone wins Anime Expo like they do at E3 style, then the fans say that anyway, then yeah, I think Sentai won with that. As far as I'm concerned, that was incredible. Okay, Pony Canyon were next. Thankfully, they didn't announce anything, because I don't want them to announce anything, because they're just like Aniplex America. They overcharge, and their releases, while nice looking, are too expensive. So yeah, the only thing they announced was the first box set of one of their previous licenses, which was Itoma, I think it's called. But yeah, nothing else from Pony Canyon, thankfully. Next up was Aniplex of America, which once again, I wouldn't really necessarily want anything to be announced from Aniplex, especially after some of the things they did announce in the summer season, which I've forgotten to put here. But one of the things Aniplex did announce, like a week before the Expo or something, was Working Season 3, or Wagnaria Season 3. They've stolen, effectively, as far as I'm concerned, from NIS. And I say stolen because even though it's an Aniplex series, and Aniplex America obviously have first right to refusal or whatever when it comes to Aniplex shows, I just think it's a dick move. Like, if you've allowed another company to license the first 2 series, let them put out the third, especially when your series isn't going to match. Like, I could totally see, despite the fact that we got a Blu-ray release for Season 2 of Wagnaria working, I bet we'll get just a standard DVD sub-only bare bones release of Season 3 from Aniplex, and they'll charge more than the NIS Blu-ray Premium Edition was. So yeah, fuck Aniplex. I could totally see that happening. But the other stuff the announcements they did at the panel, there's going to be an English dub for You'll Lie in April, which isn't too surprising. You'll Lie in April, as far as I understand, is a huge hit. It was a highly rated show. Lots of people love it. One of the biggest, most highly rated shows of the year so far, I think, or when it was on or whatever. Yeah, so I'm not surprised that's getting an English dub. The next Monogatari release, Suki Monogatari Yotsugi Doll. It's just another part of the second season series, which they split up into the arcs. They also announced the Fate's Day Night Unlimited Blade Works Box Set 1 non-import release, so this is the one that will include the English dub. It's still ridiculously expensive. It's like, I think it's like $180 or something, but it comes with a soundtrack, 4 Blu-rays, the first 13 episodes, or 12 or whatever, this art book and a card. Again though, like, this is super expensive, and there's less stuff in this than some of their other sets. It's overpriced once again, like hugely overpriced. People will buy it. I don't really have much interest in it, but yeah, hugely overpriced. It's a shame. Something I will buy just because I'm a sucker, and I feel like I just have to. Durarara Season 2's first box set. This is for the first of the 3 Season 2 seasons, or cores, or whatever, that will make up Season 2 for Durarara. Yeah, they're basically, unlike the first series where they put out the complete, I think it was like 25 episodes in one box set, they're going to be putting out the Season 2 of Durarara across 6 volumes for the full 39 episode core, whatever it will end up being, somewhere around there. 39 episodes, yeah, it's going to be spread across 6 volumes, so the first volume has 6 episodes. It's a shame. Could have been worse, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's Aniplex. It's going to cost a lot of money. It's unfortunate. It's going to cost a lot of money. I bought the first series from Aniplex. I will probably buy the second season from Aniplex, I think, as well. It really depends. I mean, right now we haven't really got much to show here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this actually mimics the older, newer Zero release. So yeah, probably just a slip cover and a slightly fancy packaging and 2 discs is how I imagine that will look, rather than posters and all the rest of it like they did for Kill la Kill. Anyway, next up was Right Stuff, who also, so basically Pony Can, really disappointing, but that's okay as far as I'm concerned. Aniplex again, not really that great, again, not really bothered about that. Sentai were amazing, Viz were pretty okay. Right Stuff are kind of like there's 2 spectrums to it. There's some really awesome stuff and some stuff that's kind of like, well, okay, I guess. So straight in, the latest little batch of licenses were all modern, relatively modern, but so no classic stuff necessarily, but at least not new classic stuff. But yeah, Big Wind Up Season 2 is coming out, which is awesome. I loved Big Wind Up, the first series. It bombed from Funimation. It was supposed to be one of Funimation's worst ever sellers. So really surprising that Right Stuff were able to get a hold of this, probably part of a license bundle or something. But yeah, it's really cool that this is actually going to be coming out. I'll be very happy to be able to put this on my shelf. It's only a 13 episode series. It's not too cool like the first series was, and it'll only be subtitled, but I will take that. I will totally buy this. I loved the first series a lot. It's a great series, and the second season is pretty good as well. It's not as good as the first, but it's a pretty good series. And yeah, so it's actually one of the first shows I ever watched as it was airing. I was like downloading a torrent of each episode while it was on. Like, this was before Crunchyroll and stuff, at least before I really knew what Crunchyroll is. I don't believe it was on Crunchyroll either, but yeah, it was this and Kaiji, both at the same time I watched from that season. Okay, next up is A Town Where You Live. This is a romance shoujo drama series from a couple of years ago, I think it was, or last year or something. Next up is Tamayura. This is another show from the last couple of years. This is not really the sort of stuff I really wanted Nozomi Entertainment to pick up, but I imagine it was all cheap and there will be enough people interested in it. But I just wanted more classic old stuff. Like, I wanted the Cat's Eyes, the Dirty Pair, the Space Adventure Cobra, that sort of stuff, Rosa Fasai, those sort of old classic release announcements, stuff that's just you really don't think you're ever going to get. Umi Monogatari, which is like a magical girl series from about almost 10 years ago now, I think, or something. But yeah, that. And this is probably the worst one of the lot. This one actually pissed me off that they announced this, but it probably cost like nothing to license. But it's just a part of me that when I saw this, I was like, seriously, who really wants this show? And I'd never really heard of it before. It's called Peter 10. It's like a magical girl series, but with this really ugly chibi art style, and it's like from 2002. There was a part of me just thinking, this gets licensed, and yet stuff like Kaiji doesn't get licensed in terms of like relatively modern shows. Like, fuck, man, that's so unfair. But at the same time, like, this is probably a really cheap pickup for Right Stuff. Again, might have been part of a license bundle to go with the others that they picked up. So I'm sure it made sense for them, but it was just a part of me that looked at that. I was just like, I was like very briefly disgusted. I was like, really, this is what you pick up? Christ, man! Like, is Kaiji really that hard to get? God damn it. Anyway, so the next thing they talked about was I think we already knew this since it's basically coming out next month. But yeah, Tono Gundam Part 2 on the way. And then they announced basically pretty much what we already knew: Mobile Suit Gundam, Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam Double Zeta, Mobile Suit Victory Gundam, After War Gundam X, and the other thing that's not here is the Turn A Gundam movie trilogy will also be coming out between Sunrise and Right Stuff. And then finally, I'm sure you've been looking down here to see it already, but Right Stuff are finally doing Blu-ray, and they're doing it in the best way possible for their first one. Yes, Mobile Suit Gundam 79, the original Gundam series, is coming to Blu-ray. So they are doing Blu-ray, at least for the original series. I think so far as the Gundam Right Stuff deal with Sunrise is concerned, in terms of format, in terms of Blu-ray, I think it will be a cherry-picking scenario where they will pick the potentially biggest sellers. They're not going to do every series on Blu-ray because I just don't think it's in their interest to do so. Well, it's certainly in the fans' interest, no doubt. But I don't think business-wise it would work out. I just don't. Like, I wish it wasn't that way, but I just feel like that's the way it is. Like, some Gundam series aren't going to sell as big as others. Gundam 79 being the first one has a pretty big fan base, obviously, and the potential for big sales numbers. Putting that on Blu-ray is a great decision. I think Gundam Wing will probably get a Blu-ray. I think the Gundam Seed HD upscale remasters or whatever will probably get Blu-rays if and when Sunrise and Right Stuff put those out again. You know, basically the bigger shows, the ones that were more popular. But yeah, I'm really happy for this. I've never seen the original Mobile Suit Gundam. I want to see it. I know I will love it, just because I love that classic style, and yeah, I think almost certainly I will love this series. So to be able to have the opportunity now, especially since it's coming in 2015, it's coming out this year, to have the opportunity to be able to watch this show for the first time in high definition is one that I'm greatly looking forward to. And the other Blu-ray release, which is also really cool, is Revolutionary Girl Utena, the TV series. I almost bought the DVD releases that Right Stuff put out for this a couple of times over the last year, but I never went through with it. It's a show that I have a great interest in because it just looks super stylistic, and it's a very popular series from back in the 90s. It's a pretty big hit. And yeah, the first time I'll get to watch it on Blu-ray. The Blu-ray, obviously, the Japanese Blu-ray release is proper HD, true HD. It's a 90s series. It was done on film or whatever, so it's a very nice print. But one thing that I will say about it is the DVD releases, the Region 1 DVD releases for Utena, for the most part, are pretty darn good in terms of bitrate and that. And the detail improvement, while definitely apparent, isn't huge, but it is definitely apparent. Like, it's stuff like where you've got lots of fine detail all clumped into a little space. You can finally see that detail, so that's the advantage of Blu-ray, which you can't get with the DVDs. But the DVDs, for the most part, look pretty good. So, yeah. Anyway, next up is Funimation, who about a day after I did my prediction video and a couple of days before the Expo even started, they just clean sweeped the entire summer season, pretty much, of licenses. Like, Funimation went crazy, basically. I think Funimation, in all honesty, trying to eat Crunchyroll's lunch, because Crunchyroll barely has anything for American viewers anyway, North American viewers. They basically have nothing for the next season. Like, they'll have the Sentai stuff, probably some of the Aniplex stuff. Like, they will have stuff, but Funimation have come through and absolutely just cleaned up. Like, it was crazy. So yeah, I think Funimation are really going for it. Obviously, Crunchyroll service is offered worldwide, so I could see a lot of these shows I'm about to mention still being streamed on Crunchyroll, but being only available to people outside of North America. But yeah, I was really surprised to see this. Some of the ones I wasn't surprised to see, obviously, was Aquarium Lagos, I think this is called. This is the second season of that. Or third season of Aquarium, but yeah, it's a sequel to something that Funimation have already put out, so not surprised. Bikini Warriors, not again surprised. Super Ecchi Harem series type, well, maybe not harem, but Ecchi series, not surprised. Castle Town, I've obviously not got the names in front of me now, so I think this is like Castle Town Dandalion? I can't remember what the name of that word is. But yeah, that's another one they picked up. Chaos Dragon, Gangster went to Funimation, really happy about that. I look forward to the potentially awesome English dub, because I think they did a great job with Michiko and Hatchkin. This is Hetalia. This is the 5th or 6th season of this show now. It just seems to continuously go on. I only watched the first half of the first season. I liked it a lot, and I would like to see more, but I can't imagine I'd want to see this much of Hetalia. I feel like the joke would get old after a while, but I don't know, there's more of it coming, so that's cool, I guess. One of the more surprising ones, you might have noticed, this was in the current season, upcoming summer season, and Right Stuff didn't pick it up because they put out the previous 2 seasons. But yeah, Junjo Romantica, season 3, the Yaoi series, Funimation had picked up. Surprising. Means it'll probably get a dub. Probably, maybe, I don't know. But Funimation obviously do dabble with the odd subtitle release these days, and I think this one might be a potential candidate for that. But yeah, interesting. Although at the same time, knowing that the sort of fangirl the sort of fangirling that goes on around some of the American male voice actors. I think there's a potential for a pretty exciting dub here for fangirls and fanguys, I guess, who play for their own team to get pretty excited about. I think there'll be, yeah. I'm going to reverse my statement. I think they could definitely dub this, because I think that would actually work out pretty well for Funimation if they can. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea, actually, come to think about it. Overlord. This is the, as I said before in the predictions, this is one I really felt Funimation needed to get. This is the latest I'm stuck in an MMO anime series, which Funimation don't have one of them. Everyone else seems to have one, and now Funimation do as well. So yeah, Prison School. Really happy to see that with Funimation. It makes the most sense. I can't remember what this one's called. Rimpa something. I don't know. I can't remember. They got this one too. Seiyu Life. Seems like a moe comedy-ish thing about voice actresses. Shimoteka, I think this one's called, like the one about dirty jokes. Sky Wizards Academy. Snow White and the Red Hair. That's the Bone series. I'm glad they picked that up, the shoujo adventure series looking thing. And what's this one called? Kept getting it confused with Project Venus Climax or something. And that was all their summer lineup so far, but there's still 2 remaining, I think, or another. They're going to announce Dragon Ball Super at some point, surely, so there's at least 1 coming. But yeah, that was all their summer stuff. There's a lot. They clean slate. Yeah, crazy. There's going to be a premium edition Funimation version of the free Eternal Summer second season release. I think this one's going to be basically what we have here in the background is just the. Oh, sorry, I just had to stop the video there. What we have in the background here is the limited edition, the standard limited edition, as far as I'm aware. And then I think this stuff here is going to come out, obviously, on the Funimation store. So we get an art book, some art cards, and I believe that's probably a towel of some kind. But yeah. And then the second Megaton announcement, so far as I'm personally concerned, and I know a few people on YouTube who will feel similarly to me. One in particular I know who's probably a bigger Fullmetal Alchemist fan than even I am, at least in terms of showing her fandom, in terms of her collection and stuff. Lust for Life, who's got like a Fullmetal Alchemist like shrine. She's going to be pretty hyped about this too. This is Fullmetal Alchemist, the original 2003 series, is coming to Blu-ray from Funimation. I knew it would eventually, and oh boy, have they really gone ham on this. Like, holy crap. Okay, so there's going to be a standard Blu-ray release, which I imagine will retail somewhere between $50 to $80, give or take. I think the prices are out. I can't remember what they are, but I think it was not too high. Yeah, that'll be just coming in a standard Blu-ray case. Then there's going to be a limited edition version, which is this, which will come in a chipboard box. And then there's going to be something else, which the one that comes in chipboard box is $100, I believe, give or take. But then there's this one, which, oh my god. Like, holy crap. Like, I know it's all pointless stuff, stuff I don't really need, but Fullmetal Alchemist is such a special series to me. I mean, it was my first real anime. It was the first time I watched the whole series that I knew was anime. It was my gateway into my anime obsession, and I love this series to death. I love the original. Like, I love Brotherhood. Yes, I will come out and definitely say that Brotherhood is a better series, but the original Fullmetal Alchemist series, until Brotherhood came along, was the best anime series out there. And in my opinion, the original 2003 series is still one of the best anime series ever made. And it means so much to me. It's so important to me personally. And I was so hoping that when we did get a Blu-ray release, we would get something special. But I did not anticipate something as special as this. And I have already pre-ordered this. All $247 worth of it. But so I hope it will work out. I'll eventually do an unboxing video, but mine's going to take a little bit longer to come because I've had to jump through some hoops in order to get it to me, because it's a Funimation Shop exclusive, goddammit, and they don't do international shipping, but I have found a way to be able to get it to me thanks to help from some friends, or a friend, so that's really awesome. And yeah, So here's what we have. The complete series, episodes 1 to 51 plus the extras. Then we have a 300-page full-colour art book with a leather texture cover. Awesome. Then there's an alchemy book style chipboard box, which is this thing, also with a leather texture, which I imagine will probably mimic the Kyo Caramel set in terms of like texture. And it's also got gold foil accents, which I presume is just like the art on it, I guess. Which, yeah, holy crap. And then I believe this is probably just going to be like digibook packaging where the discs will go. But holy crap. And then there's these things, there's these, I guess. 10 collectible art cards with textured envelope, which is this. And then we've got 3 deluxe 8x10 inches textured art prints, and it'll all be packaged in a suitcase packaging with a leather texture. It's really expensive. I wouldn't do this for any other series. Like, I'm totally serious. Like, my days of buying like really elaborate, over the top price collector's editions are mostly gone. I don't like spending this much money on one series, but if there's one series I would certainly spend that money on, it is this. Like, there are a couple other series in my back of my mind that I would certainly come close to spending this much on, but this one, absolutely 100%. I would pay heaven and earth for this, and I have. I am so happy this is coming out. And it's coming out in September. I don't even have to wait long. It comes out in like 2 months, and I've officially decided after watching. I think I rewatched Brotherhood last year. I've watched the original series 3 times. I've watched Brotherhood twice. I'm going to make probably watching Fullmetal Alchemist at least a biannual thing, like once every couple of years, if not once a year. I just love the show so much, and I really need more stuff to do with it. I don't really have a lot. I have a couple of figures and stuff, and I have obviously my sets, my anime sets, but I don't really have much Fullmetal Alchemist merchandise. But now I certainly have what I would definitely consider, or I potentially have when it comes. What I would consider probably the be-all and end-all, as far as I'm concerned, Fullmetal Alchemist piece of merchandise. I was flabbergasted when I saw this. I was like, this is everything I could have wanted and more. Basically, like, this right here would have been enough because it looks beautiful, but to get the art book and then the suitcase packaging thing, it's beautiful. And the only thing that's kind of disappointing is it doesn't include the movie. The movie is still going to be separate, which is kind of like, you know, come on, like, why don't you just throw the movie and the OVAs in there as well? I mean, I already have the movie and the OVAs, but, you know, I already have the series as well when I'm rebuying it on Blu-ray this time. But yeah, that was sort of disappointing. But other than that, everything about this, totally on board. Like I said, already pre-ordered. Thankfully, I had the money to do that straight away. But yeah, very happy. And then I'll just reiterate, this is a Funimation Shop exclusive. And as far as I can tell from the disc art, it looks like it's going to be Region A only. Is disappointing for those others in the UK that don't have the means to watch Region A quite like I do. And the last thing from Funimation was a announcement for an anime that they are helping make, as far as I'm aware, called Dimension W, based on a manga by the Darker Than Black character creator and King of Thorn manga creator, or character designer of Darker Than Black, and the King of Thorn manga creator, Dimension W. But yeah, this was a worldwide exclusive announcement. This was their big announcement, which, by the way, I haven't mentioned this yet, but Funimation's panel was one of the worst anime panels I've ever watched. It started 40 minutes late, and they spent a good 45 minutes showing trailers of stuff that's already been out for 2 to 3 months. It was excruciating, and the payoff, thankfully for me at least, because I knew it was coming, was the full reveal of the Fullmetal Alchemist Collector's Edition. So for me, the panel was worth it. But the big payoff, so far as Funimation was concerned, was for this, which is cool and all, and there's a trailer up and it looks decent, but it's not coming out till next year, and no one's really ever heard of it before. So it's kind of hard to be excited about it when you don't really know anything about it. I mean, and you know, it looked cool, but most anime look like this. Like this show. This is actually a cover of the manga. But yeah, Dimension W is coming, but I need to finish this video because it's hella long. Okay, so next up was NIS America, and holy crap, did they drop the ball. NIS last year were terrible. Anime Expo, they didn't announce anything really that exciting. just a quick recap from what they did last year. They announced Naraka Crawling Love Season 2, which was obviously coming because they'd already put out Season 1. And then they just did a Toradora dub Q&A, like with their cast. This year it was even worse. Their panel was like all of 30 minutes long, if that, and they announced Pilot's Love Song, which has obviously already been announced. They just showed the final packaging. It's coming out in September. Holy crap, everything's coming out in September, it feels like. But yeah, this is the sequel series to the movie, Princess and the Pilot, all set in the same universe or something. It's coming in the new standard premium edition, like the new premium edition packaging. Obviously, Princess and the Pilot, the movie came out in the original long box packaging, so they're not going to match it up, which was initially disappointing to me. I was like, well, you know, I know that you guys have dropped the long box, but for anything that you'd already put out in long box format before, I was really hoping they would follow up any sequels with the same treatment. But then I realized that the art box is going to match pretty much entirely the Japanese release in terms of packaging, and the Japanese release has a wraparound image, so all is forgiven as far as Blaze is concerned, because that's awesome. I really love wraparound images, and I'm so happy to see NIS do one, because they've had the potential to do one a few times and then keep like just doing it and then just changing the spine so it doesn't wrap around anymore. But yeah, that's awesome news from NIS America. Well, semi-awesome news. Like the set looks great. It's just a shame it's not a long box. But yeah, this show's supposed to be average. But you know who I am. I'll in terms of NIS, I'll eventually get them all. Although I've said that a lot, they've never actually had them all. So who knows? Anyway, the other thing, there was no artwork for this, but they further confirmed they were releasing Love Live. Basically, they just went through a bunch of Love Live stuff. So the Premium Edition Season 1 long box sub-only release will remain the only Love Live long box release. Then they're going to do the re-release that's coming out of the first season dubbed is going to be the only standard edition. So it will come in just a normal Blu-ray case, which is a weird choice. Anyone who owns the version I have, I guess, could just buy that if they really want the dub, which I don't know if I'm that desperate for it. Probably not. But if they really wanted it, they could buy it and then obviously put the Blu-rays in their premium edition long box. But yeah, so they announced that. They further confirmed news about them doing the movie in theaters or whatever. And the other thing was season 2 is going to be coming out. It will be coming out in a normal their new, as I said, non-long box premium edition. So it won't match the first series premium edition release, but it will be coming out dubbed straight out the gate, like they've done with Law in the Sea, to match the first series. Not that surprising. Yeah, and that was it from NIS America. The games panel they also did as well. Given that NIS America announced no video games at E3, I thought they were going to announce some at Anime Expo. They announced none. They didn't have any, and they just said we don't have any new announcements, so we're going to make this a Q&A panel. Just fine. I just feel like if you knew that going in, they should just rename their panel NIS America Games Q&A panel. Like, don't make it an industry panel if you don't have anything to announce, because you know people are at this expo. They're there to have a good time. They'll go and get to ask a couple of questions always at the end of every panel. But when you go to an industry panel in particular, you're there because you want to hear something new and exciting coming from a company that you obviously care enough about to go and sit and watch one of their panels. So I always find it bullshit when they don't have anything to announce. Which that's fine, like business is business, sometimes you won't have anything to announce, but if you know that going in, don't name it an industry panel. Call it a Q&A panel up front, and then people know what they're going into. Because yeah, people were at that expo for those 3 or 4 days, and yeah, they shouldn't have to sit for an hour only to find out that there's nothing going to be announced. That's just bullshit, because they want, maybe pretty much the only reason most people are there is either to ask one question at the end maybe, or to hear something new. But they don't really care about any of the other stuff. All the other stuff is stuff they probably already know the majority of the time. It's not like they're walking into a panel and going, oh, I want to find out who Funimation are. Everyone knows who Funimation is at Anime Expo, pretty much. Probably 90% of the people attending, so yeah. And then something I'm completely unqualified to talk about, but Tokyo Pop are coming back. They're going, I say unqualified because I don't read manga like anywhere near the levels of anyone who would call themselves a manga fan. It's something I've never really gotten into. I would love to get into it. I have tried, I've dabbled with it, especially this year, and I think eventually it'll be something I get into, but for the most part I haven't. But yeah, I certainly know a bit of the history of companies who have handled manga in America, and Tokyo Pop were obviously the biggest, and then they imploded upon themselves in a very dramatic fashion and completely disappeared at the end of 2011, completely ceasing operations. But it turns out they're coming back in 2016. It'll be different, but they're coming back. So yeah, Tokyo Pop are coming back in 2016 to publish manga. That's something I totally missed until this morning, so I thought I'd mention it just at the end here, just in case anybody else missed that announcement, because if you care about manga, that's probably a big deal to some extent. So yeah, that is everything. Thank you for watching all this video. I dread to think how long it is, but if you got all the way to the end, thank you very much for listening. I hope something was announced that you cared about. There was a lot that was announced, although a lot of it was just stuff from the summer season. As you can probably imagine, my biggest and favourite announcements were Legend of the Galactic Heroes and the Fullmetal Alchemist Collector's Edition. Both of those made watching all those panels worth it. But yeah, some companies disappointed, NOS America disappointed, Funimation, other than the Fullmetal Alchemist Collector's Edition, were pretty disappointing. Because they didn't talk about any of like the Bandai stuff. We still don't know about any of that stuff. The Steins Gate movie didn't get talked about. Haruhi didn't get talked about. Lucky Star didn't get talked about, or whatever. Vision of Escaflowne, which I'm still putting my hat on for coming out this year, didn't mention that at all. But one thing I will mention about the Funimation stuff, since I'm talking about it, Funimation tend to save a lot of their bigger announcements for Otakon, which is the Maryland Expo, Anime Expo, which is on, I believe, early next month, or towards the end of this month, I can't remember, or in 3 weeks or something like that. I honestly can't remember. Pretty soon, though, either in July or early August. So yeah, Funimation, I expect things from Funimation, but everybody else, I'm pretty sure they're done for a while. Yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon with an anime pickups video, and I'm going to be doing some unboxings and stuff, so yeah.